Morning, everyone. Welcome. Andy Barkworth here on Path Healing Arts. Hope you're doing well and joining for Kung Fu Fitness. So we'll use some of our Kung Fu training to get healthier, stronger, faster, better reflexes, all that good stuff, coordination, balance, things like that. And if you haven't known yet or you'd like to join me, I have ongoing classes Tuesday mornings through Zoom and through my website on pathhealingarts.com. On Tuesday mornings is Tai Chi and Qigong, 8 a.m. Wednesday mornings, meditation, 8 a.m. Arizona time, and Kung Fu Fitness on Thursdays, 8 a.m. And then that will provide 3 levels of practice. So if the fitness training is too much for you at this time, you might try the Tai Chi and Qigong, which is more gentle, less rigorous, less impact. And then even no matter what you participate in, you can always adjust it, modify it, reduce the level of repetitions, reduce the range of motion, always try to make it fit your body. We're not into the no pain, no gain, although there's some Kung Fu training where when you're ready, in-person training where you would do things that would not necessarily be good for your body or would cause a fair amount of pain, but would help you to become a stronger pugilist and more capable of taking care of things in the world. That's not our focus here. It's about self-cultivation and getting in our bodies. And for me, Kung Fu was the first thing that I was exposed to as a teenager that really helped me to get out of my head and into my body. That along with Qigong, and then after that, Tai Chi. So hope you enjoy your journey. Let's get to it. Typically, everything I'll do will be a step or so in either any direction. And if you can't move in that direction, you could always step in place or just pause and wait for me to come back. I won't be going far. Everything is designed so you can be my mirror image. I'll be your mirror image. And again, always listen to your body, do what's right for you. Participate or do not based on what is right for you, what your body tells you about your experience. And that is true for all and most things. So let's tune in as our main practice will be active. We'll take a moment of stillness. One of my favorite ways to tune in is through something shared by my teacher. I am here. I am here. I am here and they are here with me. I am here in this place. I am here in this body, in this heart, with this mind, in this consciousness. I am here in this moment, the ever-present now, the eternal now. I am here with these intentions, this clarity of purpose, this purity of heart. And in this process and journey, every day in every way, we are growing healthier, stronger, better, and wiser. Adjusting breath, exhale, gather, deep breath in, cleansing sound of relief and release. Gather the breath from the feet up. Exhale from the head down. Let the belly expand, filling from the belly up. Contracting, compressing, releasing from the chest down. Squeeze the belly tight and relax. There's all kinds of videos that you can look through, content that I've put together on my website and on YouTube page. Playlists on YouTube can give you focused categories. We have designed that as if you're looking for something focused on learning or activity or meditation or light movement, energy, whatever you're personally working on. There's quite a bit of material there for you to discover and to practice. There's also an article on how to create a training space for you and some guidance on how to approach your own practice. So You can always look at those videos and articles. Let's get into it. Chi up. Clapping the hands together, rubbing the hands together. If you can breathe in and out through your nose, do that. If you need to breathe through your mouth, breathe like sipping through a straw. This focuses and slows down the inhale and exhale. And release the arms, clasping behind the back, one hand into the other. Some say depending on your gender, you're supposed to do one thing or another, but I find that what you naturally gravitate to is probably what is right for you, so do that. And if any time you need to put your hands somewhere else or do something different with your body than what I'm doing, you do that. So always take things slow and easy in the beginning. Listen to your body. Do what's right for you. Do or do not based on you, not the others, not me. Right now I'm just lifting one heel at a time. Hips are about hip to shoulder. Feet are about hip to shoulder width apart, a natural stance. I'm moving fairly quick, and I recommend that this is part of our basic warm up. I have some focus videos on this on my YouTube channel, and if you want more instruction on this, you can jump into that sometime. But right now we're just loosening up the body, getting the blood to flow, lubricating joints, activating the body. I want to go into it cold. I want to warm up the body a little bit and slow it down and relax, shaking the branches of the tree. If you had joint pain or anything talking back to you from your body, listen to the wisdom of your body and slow it down, change it. And if you can, almost like you have a little jackhammer in your belly, try to feel it in your lower abdomen, bouncing gently onto the knees. Let it radiate from your core, your lower chamber, your lower dantian, the Chinese refer to as the lower energy chamber, consisting of the root and sacral chakras. And relax. This is our seat of vitality, and this is where we want to move our body from. All right, so we get in our head and we start to move from our head, and we can lose our balance and bump our head and do different things. Leading from the heart is also a good space to lead from, but in terms of body movement, it's all right here. Okay. Ready for some torture? Excellent, me too. Arms out. If you really can't hold them out, you can hold them down or somewhere in between. But if you can, relax the body a little bit. Open and close the hands. If standing still is uncomfortable and you need to shift back and forth and sway and move, feel free to do that. But I'm opening and closing the hands all the way open, all the way closed. I want to be able to develop an explosive openness to my hands, to be able to spring outward with my fingers and then tight closed fist. Working on my grip. This also helps condition soft tissues, the muscles. Breathe into the belly, always breathing into the belly. Only as fast as you can do it correctly. And if you have carpal tunnel syndrome or anything like that, arthritis, you might want to really slow it down, and you might want to, move the hands a little bit, and or not do so many of them. All the way open, all the way closed. Don't end up milking the cow, right? Only partially open, partially closed. Even if you have to slow it way down. Slow and accurate becomes fast and powerful. And we want to practice when we can to the fullest of what is intended. Palms down, open and closing the hands. You might bounce a little bit. Breathe into the belly. You might begin to feel your forearms all the way open, all the way closed. Explosive fingers, tight grip. Palms up. We're a quarter of the way there. I won't take you through the full set today. We'll just get started with a little bit of this. Arms out, palms forward. Breathe into the belly. All the way open, all the way closed. Palms down. Speed up the process for you a little bit. Breathe into the belly. Palms up. Breathe into the belly. And relax. Adjusting breath. Breath is the greatest key to all this stuff. Whether it's meditation or energy, or whether it's exercise, whether it's mental focus, concentration, things that you're working through on the mental plane. Breath is key. Gather and release. Relax the arms, feet about hip to shoulder width apart. Not too narrow, not too wide. We're not going into a horse stance or anything like that just yet. You can kind of test that by swinging your arms, and typically, depending on your measurements, you'll make some contact with your legs, too narrow, no contact, too wide, and your hands land in your lap. Be careful with that one. All right, a little bend in the knees. Just soft bend. This is soft joints. We want to keep the gates, the joints open. Right, so if I'm too tense, then I restrict blood flow and energy flow and things like that, and I increase the demand and the wear and tear on my body. So I want to keep my joints supple, relaxed. And then when I really need to, then I can tighten up if I'm doing something that is intended for that purpose. So pivoting around the spine, just begin to twist side to side. At first, your movement might be focused around the hips and the abdomen and the waist. Ideally, over time, is that I'm pushing from one foot to the other, and that pushback from the earth, equal and opposite reaction, translates and channels through my body, through my legs, through my spine, out to my arms. And while I create this torque and twist, momentum carries my hands and continues that movement. So shoulders are relaxed, arms draped, and then if you're ready to and it feels good to your body, you can bend at the elbows and lightly tap the shoulder and lower back, a little bit around the kidney. If I was doing Gong or some body conditioning, I might tighten up my fists and punch myself, but don't do that if you're not ready for it. So we're just warming up right now, pushing from one foot to the other, twisting side to side. This helps me to generate power in my technique. That my movement is connected all the way from the floor, from the earth, all the way up through my body. And then relax, shake it out, shake a leg. I also have a focused video on crane stretches. This is one of my favorite quick ways to warm up. We could do an extended practice, but this we'll just do a couple repetitions of. Always take it in the range and the level that's right for you. Adjusting breath, exhale. We're going to open up the stance, shimmy the feet, toes out, breath in. Now I'm kind of moving towards an open horse stance. Heels out, feet parallel, exhale. Now I'm in a wider posture, a horse stance. You might have to walk your feet out and put them there. That's fine too. Gather from the sides, inhale up. Mindful of your spine, your balance, exhale and stretch backwards. And now relax the breath. We could continue with controlled breathing, but for now, just breathe at your own pace into your belly. And then sit and reach the hands up, stretch through that golden pyramid of the body temple, and then bend, rotating in the hip joints, bending at the waist. If you can reach the ground, wonderful. If you can't, you might have to support yourself on the thighs and keep everything high and light. And if wide is too wide, then keep it more narrow and work in that range. So always adjust it for you. Stretching the hamstrings and the calves, opening up the hips. Sit and come up. Crane stretches, crossing one arm over the other. One hand comes to the opposite hip. Other hand comes across, and I'm going to turn my toe in on the heel and my toe out on the heel. So puts you in somewhat of what yoga would call a warrior pose. We'd call this a lunging bow and arrow. And then open up the crane's wings. And you might be higher and tighter and lighter. Right? You might not be ready for that deep stretch. I don't want to put my knee past my toe, though I can do that on occasion. I don't want to do that over and over again. My forward palm is up, my back palm is down. Careful with this one. Cross the arms. Forward toe turns in a little bit, and my back heel comes in a little bit, or I adjust my feet. I want to point my knees towards my toes and then sit back, and sitting back might be where you're at. You might not actually press down. If you can, go down only as deep as you can. Keeping the feet flat if you can, cross the arms, push off the back leg, and lunging forward. Changing direction. Shift the weight, cross the arms, chamber. I'm blocking my face, my blind spot around my neck and head. I'm gathering. I could also do a elbow or shoulder strike here. Toe turns in on what was the front foot becomes a back foot. Toe turns out with the back foot becomes a forward foot, and then open the arms. So I'm going to block, chamber, and open. Crane stretches. And I only press as deep as knee above the big toe, at minimum knee above the ankle, or somewhere in between. I can go past my big toe, but I don't want to do that over and over again. So Kung Fu is focused, although we do quite a bit of focused stretching, the movements themselves are focused on mobility. So how can I articulate my body in a position of strength, and how can I move my body and maintain strength during my transitions? Shift the weight back. Be careful with this one. Cross the arms. My forward toe turns in a little bit. I could either turn my toe out on the heel or my heel in on the ball, but both toes are turned out a little bit. Pointing my knees towards my toes and sit back, or you might sit back and down. Only go as deep as you can. Cross the arms and lunge forward. And finally, bringing it to the center. Feet parallel, we're in a wide stance. You might not be quite as wide. You might feel like you're too wide and bring it in. You might feel not wide enough and bring it out. And now, bringing the elbows down, locking to the sides. Open the palms, winding up the hands. We also do this in Qigong. We're going to gather palms forward, downward palm block, match up the back of the hands, wind up the hands, fingertips are pointing down, they point towards your legs, your belly, your heart, your head. Open up the palms, roll the fingertips into the palms, making a fist, thumbs wrap around last. We'll cover different fists, but for now, make a fist without your thumb inside of it. Make sure your thumb's on the outside. And then we're going to pull into the chamber. My elbows are pulling back. This is one method for chambering. This is part of training, but this is not necessarily where you would be when you're launching a punch. This helps to develop the body. And let's go ahead and move into some leg exercises. Arms out. If your arms get tired, you can put your hands on your hips or somewhere else, or change the placement. Outside whip of the knee. Shift the weight. Pull in. Knee comes up, over, and carefully step down. It's as if you have a little wall here. You can magically bring your foot through the wall, but now as you come back over, you have to get your foot up and over the top. So the heel is flexed. Shift. This is an outside whip. I'm bringing my knee up and using that motion to protect my body, using my legs to block. Shift the weight. I move my center of gravity, pull myself in. I evade whatever's coming at me and use the knee to whip and deflect whatever it was. Typically, you wouldn't be standing here so open in front of somebody, but this is a good posture to use for this exercise for training. So in actual use, you wouldn't be facing somebody like this. And whip. Bring it in, up and over, and control your descent. A lot of it is about body control. And it takes time to develop. So if you're not there yet, don't worry. It's little by little by little building ourselves up. Mastering the body, mastering movement. And let's bring it to the center. Let's do one more set of crane stretches. Exhale. Inhale, gather from the sides up. Match up the palms and arc back. Exhale. Be mindful of your body. Breathe in the belly. And sit, head and torso come upright, hands above the head. Reach up, and if you can't reach up, reach out. You could even do something down if you're dealing with limited range of motion. And then sit and bend. Straighten the legs and stretch. Again, if you can't reach the ground, you might be comfortable letting your arms hang, or you might need to support yourself on your thighs above the knees. All right, so throughout this exercise, that could be a place you support yourself, maybe in the upper thigh, somewhere that's comfortable for you. And stretch the legs. There's additional things we could do while we're down here. We won't go into that now. We're going to squat, walk the hands up, come upright, cross the arms, and now moving from my center, I'm going to push and transition my stance from horse, wide, facing forward, to front toe pointing to the side, back toe turned in. Knee is somewhere above the ankle or in line with the big toe, but not beyond. Breathe into the belly. So this is arms are moving parallel. Protect my face and neck. Chamber my hand and open up. I could have two sticks or things, swords in my hands. And shifting back, something's coming at me. I shift my weight out. I adjust my feet. Toe turned in a little bit in the front, turned out a little bit in the back. Get my head away. And then maybe I even duck underneath. If you can, come down. Only go down as deep as you can. You might have to have your heel off the ground. That's okay. Cross the arms. And now lunge forward. Change direction. Shift my weight. Protect my blind spot. Toe turns in. Toe turns out. And open up. Nice big stretch. And again, high and light is easier, especially as we get moving. You might have had enough already. And block and strike. So I could have my hands in fists. I could have something in my hands. I could shift back and come forward so I could ride the stance. So this is just a way to open up some of our basic movement. Lunging bow and arrow and horse stance. Shifting back, dropping into lion leg stance or low bow drawing stance. I'm going to sit back, adjust my toes, I point my knees towards my toes, and press down, cross the arms, and push off the back leg and bring it forward. Notice that back toe always turns back in, so I have good mobility. If I leave my toe turned straight to the screen or back, now I'm on the side of my hip joints and my knee and ankle. My body doesn't work that way. I want to be able to go into a lunge from here. Good. And then bring it to the center. Protecting the sides, coming from a horse stance. Elbows protect my upper chest. Arms drop down, protect the abdomen and lower body. Hook. Open the palms, wind up the hands. Palm block. Back of the hand block. Roll the fingers into the palms, thumbs up around at the last, and chamber into the low chamber, middle chamber, and upper chamber. So these are some basic places that the hands will travel through when generating movement and power. So they don't have to come from there, but in training, this is helping to strengthen the core, build energy potential in the arms. Arms out. So we did the outside whip, now we're going to do the inside whip. So that little wall is right there between your feet. And now I want to come up and over the wall. So I'm going to load, pump, and pull in. Pull my core in, bring my knee in, come back down, and now I can return to my stance. Shift my weight a little bit, I come up and over. Something's coming at me, and I'm using my knee to whip across, down and out. Oop, lost my balance. That happens, right? Inside whip, up, in, down, and out. Up, in, down, and out. Something's coming at me, I get out of the way and deflect whatever's coming at me off to the side. Again, typically we wouldn't be facing somebody in this horse stance. If we're in horse stance, we'd be dealing with somebody to the side of our body, maybe passing through, but chances are we'd be transitioning into something else if we were going to deal with somebody to the front. Okay, sidetracked. Inside whip, and 1, 2, 3, get that heel off the ground, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And relax, shake it out. Okay. Natural stance, sometimes called an A-frame stance. Weights distribution is 50-50. If I turn to the side, this is a kind of common like boxer stance or higher stance, right? So it gives me a little bit more agility and more movement, right? Before I press into something deeper or longer, which has more structure, but takes more time to move. So now I'm going to use the knees with an outside whip, inside whip. And go ahead and place your hands out. Just kind of turn to the side a little bit. Doesn't have to be exactly right all the time. It takes time to get there. I'm going to whip and come down. So I'm going to use that knee to deflect. Guess you want to see my feet too. So I'm going to come back, whip outside, whip inside, and come back down. And so I'm kind of right in the middle. I shift back, whip out, whip in, drop down. We call this a light leg stance or a balancing or a cat stance. So I come down into a cat stance and then shift my weight. Switch stance. So my back foot comes forward, my forward foot comes back. I'm in a fairly high stance. And I have, my hands are out in long, short guard or some kind of position. For now, we're just going to use the hands as targets. Sit back. Now I'm balancing on my back leg. I come in, up, whip outside, whip inside, come back down, balancing stance, and then shift the weight. All right, so sitting back, whip outside, whip inside, and drop down. Harder to move slow, right? Sit back, outside whip, inside whip, drop down. Switch stance. Sit back, outside whip, inside whip, drop the toe down, then shift the weight. Switch stance, sit back, outside whip, inside whip, toe down, and then shift the weight. Switch stance, switch stance, switch stance, switch stance. Sit back, I evade, I move my body mass, move my center of gravity away from whatever's coming at me. And if I need to use my legs, sometimes it's quicker, more efficient to block a kick with a kick. Or maybe I'm holding something in my hands I can't let go of, or my arms are injured, whatever's going on. And I come up, outside whip, inside whip, and down. Again, a lot of times we're just working through drills, so this isn't necessarily how it would be applied. So it takes a lot of time and repetition to gain the muscle memory, to gain the movement, and then over time, those things might come out in different ways, right? So we want to give our bodies time to develop, and that's where we're at right now. outside whip, inside whip, toe down, weight middle, shift stance, sit back, outside whip, inside whip, drop down, weight center, switch stance, sit back, whip, whip, down, center, shift, sit back, whip, whip, down, center, switch stance, sit back, whip, whip, down, center, switch stance. One more time, sit back, whip, whip, down, center, switch stance, and bring it to the center, natural stance. Adjusting breath, right? I want to catch our breath. Breath is key. If you get winded, we lose focus, body can't function, can't maneuver, can't generate power. Once the breath is lost, you're not far behind, right? So we need deep, strong breathing. And relax, shake it out. It's coming from Seven Circles Kung Fu, and a system created by my teacher, Grandmaster Umar Sharif, and he was taught by Grandmaster Alan Lee, along with other areas of martial arts that he has trained in. My teacher, my original style that I came up in for a short while was Wing Chun Kung Fu in 1991, and then I got into Tai Chi in 1993. Tai Chi and Qigong was part of both the Kung Fu and the Tai Chi. And then in 1995, I met Sifu Sharif and continued my training with him in Kung Fu, Qigong, and Tai Chi, meditation, and other practices. So there's quite a bit of material, and I'm not going to give it to you all at once. You also find that there's a lot of things that we repeat. And even to this day, some 60 years into my teacher's training, he still works the basics. The foundation is the key. It needs to become effortless. It needs to become a part of us, integrated, so that no matter, knock on wood, we're not in fights and we're not dealing with, being attacked, but in maneuvering our environment and navigating our life, that these postures, positions, even if I'm just doing the dishes, then I'm the way I move and the way that I breathe, whether I'm seated at a desk or whatever I'm doing, that I'm using these and they flow naturally. So in a situation, your instinctive response, your reflex, will then be coupled with the conditioning of your training. So your mind-body complex energy will go into, I've done this, and that, and this is the best way to move, and that's how I can respond. And it won't be through a thinking process that you get there. It will become from your natural movement. So that's where all this repetition comes through. Okay, shake it out. And this is not formal training, so typically you would do a whole lot of standing, a whole lot of stance work, posting, and things like that before you get into much more. The idea is you need to be able to articulate the body and construct the body in a way that has power and form. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and open up a little wider. This is called a horse stance. And it's like you're on a horse and you're right in the middle. Feet are equidistant from the center, from the spine, from the tailbone. Have equal weight, right? So I'm pushing equally from both legs. And let's go ahead and just work the arms a little bit. And wrapping the fingers into a fist, fingertips into the palm. There's also snapping fists that you could, if you have long fingernails, you could just, instead of folding the additional knuckles, you can press your palms and then thumbs would come around the top. That way you're not cutting into your palms, right? Or for some reason that's uncomfortable right now, but if you can, our traditional conventional fist, dragon fist, fingers roll in, thumb comes around the top, and we're focusing on the head, the biggest knuckles. And we're pulling the elbows back into the chamber. Eventually there's other positions that we'll use, but for now, we're just going to go ahead and drill some basic punching as a way to engage the upper body as well. This is also a little bit of a trick because while you're standing in your horse stance, we get to develop the lower body in this particular stance. And if any time you get too tired and you need to bring it in or even have a seat, you could do that too. And if Kung Fu isn't the right level of fitness training for you at this time, come back to it later, or just do it super easy. We're going to start with a lunar punch, a close quarter punch, also known as a drill punch. My elbow's staying tight, it's staying close to my floating ribs, and my trajectory is seeking the point of a triangle. So if this is the back of the triangle, arms are the legs, I'm going to come to a point. So I can throw a technique out here if that's where my opponent is and that's the best move, then I can do that. But for training, again, soft bend in the knees, I want to angle in towards the center line, towards my spine. And I'm going to come back and forth. And we're going to just keep it light and easy. And there's this movement in my hip and my shoulder. So instead of just being squared off and just using the shoulders themselves, I actually want to use my whole body in that punch. So I'm actually going to use my foot through my leg, through my spine, to my shoulder, to my hand. And I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit here, right? Where I'm going to angle in towards the center. And 1, 2, don't use a lot of power. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, breathe. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. Chamber and close leg. You can walk the feet in, lifting one foot at a time. You can shimmy the feet in, heels in, toes in, until you get there, or you can bring the feet together. Just hop up and jump in. Okay. All right, shake it out a little bit. Very good. We're gonna do a little bit more stance work for a minute. In a natural stance, feet about hip width apart. Light bend in the knees. We'll get into tailbone, lumbar spine positioning, chin and cervical vertebrae positioning and stuff like that over time. So just make sure you're comfortable. We're not in the no pain, no gain. And know the difference between the sweet pain of growth and working through something, which sometimes is necessary, and too much, too fast, too hard, and I'm injured. No bueno. Or it aggravates something that I'm working through, my body's trying to heal. So I want to approach it a little bit past where I'm at, but not so far past that it takes me out. So natural stance, hands on the hips. We're going to shift the weight side to side and just get a feel for the body in transition. So I'm from the center, very stable position. Now I'm shifting my weight, and then now I find my balance on the opposite leg. And just beginning to condition my body, my nervous system, my muscles, my tendons and ligaments, myofascial network, all the stuff involved. The whole body is involved in everything. Even if I just wiggle my pinky, I want to feel as though my whole body is connected to that movement. Now I'm going to sit to one leg. Right now we're going to focus on heel turns, toe turns out on the heel. My hands for my feet, I bring my weight back onto the heel and then turn the toes. There's also ball turns or combinations of, but for now we're going to do the toe turns out on the heel. My weight's back so I can easily pivot and actually moving my hips. We'll get into those details later. Shift the weight, and now my back toe comes in on the heel. So I'm in a natural stance, turn to about a 35 to 55 degree angle, about 45 degrees to the side. My weight's even. I'm in a natural width, turn to the side, And now I'm going to ride the stance. I'm going to sit onto the back leg and come up onto the ball of the foot. This is a light leg stance. There's all kinds of variations and degrees of that. This is a light leg stance with feet hip width apart. And then I'm going to push off my back foot, rock my weight forward as if I'm going into a lunge or a knee bend to pick something up. And I'm on the ball of my back foot. Most of my weight's on the front leg. My knees always point towards my toes. And then sit back and sit forward, rocking back and forth, riding the stance. Notice that my hips move. As I push off that back leg to come forward, you can almost like push from your hip a little bit. And now my hips are squared off. And then when I sit back, I could pull my hip back and notice that the shoulders and the elbows and the arms follow. I'm using my whole body and I'm moving from my center. Breathing into the belly. Keeping the breath going. And now we can add in our lunar punch, our drill punch. And as I come forward, that forward movement of my hips and my belly sends that side, that fist forward. And as I sit back, it pulls this shoulder and hip back, and then this hip and shoulder sends it forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You might only end up working on the leg work. So if you're still trying to get a hang of the leg work, just do that. If your legs are tired, then you could jump in with the punching. I'm using my body to generate power. And send that out to my fist. And relax and center. I'm in a natural stance. Hands on the hips, shifting side to side. I want to keep my body almost moving like a buoy, I want to like a weeble wobble that doesn't fall down. So this is moving and my spine follows. And then if I lean, it's because I intend to lean, right? Not because I'm losing balance. So I'm going to control and move from my center and then sit. Toe turns out on the heel to a diagonal. Shift the weight to that front leg, and as that comes forward, moving from the hips, my back toe turns in on the heel. I'm in a natural stance at a 45. My weight's in the middle, 50-50, then sit back on the ball. Sitting back, stabilizing on the back leg. Single leg balancing stance. And then rock forward, eagle stance. Still hip width apart. It's almost like I'm going into a little bit of a lunge. All right, I can do stuff from here. Throw a kick. All right, and rock back. Let the hips move. Back hip pushing forward as I push forward. Back hip pulling back as I sit back. Let the whole body connect into the movement. And if your arms are tired, your legs are tired, just adjust yourself. Practice fewer, take more rests, come back to it another time. And now let's integrate the hands. So this is a drill punch, close quarter. Someone's right on top of me, they're really close. Boom, right there. Now as I press forward and my leg moves, my hip moves my shoulder, drives my arm and my fist. And come back. Right now we're keeping all these movements and positions very simple. There's infinite variability in the things that we could do, how we could target, the range of motion, all that kind of stuff. For now, I'm just rocking back, rocking forward, and that in itself is driving the movement of my arms and my fists. Breathe into the belly. If you need to only focus on the legs, do the legs. If you want to focus on the arms, do the arms. And center. Adjusting breath, exhale. Gather. And release. Breathing, filling from the belly up. Empty from the chest down. As if breathing from the earth and the feet up. As if breathing from the sky down. And yuding, tuning inward, looking inside. You might find you take a seat if you're tired, and if holding your hands up around the chest and throat area is too much, you can hold it lower, or you could just let your arms drape and relax and just take a moment to nourish, to soak. So as we conclude our practice, return to stillness as we ever oscillate from stillness to fullness, expansion, fullness, expansion to emptiness, to stillness, compression. We push down to jump up. We push back to go forward. There's always a balance. So as I've gone through this physical journey, this exercise and training, I give my body a moment to rest, my mind a moment to return to my center. Just as I prepare myself to train, to practice, center myself, I am here. As I close and complete my training, I give myself permission to take with me what I gained today, to allow it to adapt, modify to suit me best, allow it to come to my aid throughout life, and let it come to me when I'm interested in practicing and repeating what I've learned. That I take it with me and I grow it beyond what I was given today. And now as I complete my training, as I transition to whatever is next for me for this day, I take this with me, but I also conclude this activity. One more deep breath. Shake it out a little bit. Excellent. Namaste. She. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out to play. Hope you have a beautiful, wonderful day. All goes well and in your favor, without causing others harm, all that good stuff. Okay. Thank you.